Alright, so we're going to talk about area of parallelograms today, and that's what your learning target is I can find the area of a parallelogram. So first we're going to talk about what the formula is for the area of parallelograms, and it's a lot like those rectangle and squares and what we used to do way back when. In order to find the area of a parallelogram, we use the formula area equals base times height. Okay, so that's A equals B times H. Alright, so let's do example 1 first. It asks us to find the area of the parallelogram and give the units with our answer and show our work, right? So here's what we know. We know, again, the area is base times height. Okay, and that's what we're trying to find out, is we're trying to find our area. And we know that the length of the base is 10.7 inches. And all we have to do is multiply that by the height of this shape, height of the parallelogram, and we're given the height to be 10.1. So fairly easy here. The area then is equal to 10.7 times 10.1. So we get our little friend out. We say 10.7 times 10.1, and we find that that's going to be 108.07. 108.07, and this is talking about inches, so we need to talk about inches. And anytime we talk about area, we put that little 2 up there to say that that's the square inches. Okay, 108.07 square inches. Alright, example 2 uses that formula here, except this time in this shape we don't know the height. We don't know what the height is going to be. We know the length right here, the base is 5.8, but we don't know the height. However, we do know that the area is 23.2. So again, we're going to use that formula, area equals base times height. But this time, instead of solving for A, we know that A is already 23.2. Now we just set it equal to our 5.8 times our H, which is what we're trying to figure out. Okay, so this is just algebra now. We have to divide by 5.8 on both sides. And when we divide by 5.8 on both sides, get our friend out again. 23.2 divided by 5.8, we get 4. Okay, so 4 meters, don't forget your dimensions there. 4 meters is equal to the height. Alright, for example 3, sometimes it takes a little bit more work in order to actually find out what the area of a shape is. We're trying to find the area of this shape over here, but this is an awkward shape, right? Here's what we do know, though. We know the consecutive sides of this figure are perpendicular. That means that each one of these are 90-degree angles right in here, right? And so what we can do is we can cut this in half. Not in half, I guess, but cut it. And so now we have something that's a little bit easier to work with. We have 2 different rectangles, and we know that the area of a rectangle is just like the area of a parallelogram. It's base times height, right? And so that means that this shape right here, we can find the area of this, then find the area of this shape, and then add them together, and we'll get our total area. So this shape right here we see is a 15 by 12. 15 by 12, okay? 15 centimeters this way, 12 centimeters down that way. And this shape, we know the length of it is 27, the base is 27, and the height we don't necessarily know right away. However, we know because this whole section is 21 centimeters and this is 12 centimeters, we can just subtract those to figure out that that's just going to be 9 centimeters. 27 times 9 then. Alright, so now this is just simple algebra, or math, right? We have 15 times 12, and if you use your calculator, you multiply that out, you're going to find that's going to be 180. We have 27 times 9, which again, the same type of thing here. You're going to find that that's 243. And all we have to do then is add those two together. 243 plus 180. We end up getting 423 centimeters squared. Okay, so sometimes it just takes a little bit more work to solve these problems. Alright, and here's where area of parallelograms gets a little bit more fun. Alright, here's what we know. This is a parallelogram. Okay, and we want to find the area of this parallelogram. And we're given all the sides, and we're given that one of the angles is 110 degrees, okay? We don't know what the height is. And remember that in order to find the area of a parallelogram, we need to know the height of the parallelogram. However, because we don't know the height, we have to find the height, okay? And here's what we do know. We do know that we can form a right angle triangle out of this, and we could use what we'd learned in the last unit or previous unit about trig functions, right? We know that we could figure out the height given just one side, one piece of information, if we know an angle and we know a side. Now here's what we do know. This is a parallelogram, and consecutive angles in a parallelogram are supplementary. That means that this angle right here has to be 70 degrees. It has to be 70 degrees, right? Now we know using trig that if we did the opposite over the hypotenuse, SOHCAHTOA says we're going to use sine then, we can figure out what the length of this, or what the height of this shape is. The sine of 70 degrees should be equal to our opposite, which is a variable unknown, divided by our hypotenuse, which is 5. Okay, now we can figure out what that height actually is. We're going to multiply by 5 on both sides. And we've got 5 times the sine of 70 is equal to our x. So we just take out our friend. Now remember, the very first thing that you need to do is press that mode button. Make sure that your calculator is in degrees. Okay, otherwise you're going to get the wrong answer. 5 times the sine of 70 is 4.7, about 4.7. So we're going to say x is equal to 4.7 inches. Okay, that's the first piece. And now we can go back to that area formula. Area is equal to the base times the height. So our area is going to be equal to 8 inches times our 4.7. Now, in order to get the most accurate answer, you're going to want to make sure that you use that whole actual number. So instead of doing 8 times 4.7, let's just go ahead and multiply this answer by 8, and we get 37.6. Okay, let me show you. If we did 8 times 4.7, it gives us about the same answer, but sometimes that's going to change it a little bit for us, a little bit too much for us. So this case was just fine. We got 37.6. And remember to keep our inches, and it's inches squared. Okay, so our area is 37.6 inches squared.